Hey everyone, welcome to Token Topics. XRP and Songbird are the topics. If you're a Songbird holder and maybe you're thinking about taking your assets offline, I'm going to show you how easy it is to store your Songbird on a DCENT wallet, also wrap them and delegate them for rewards. Also, we're going to hear words from Brad Garlinghouse at Davos, insights from the World Economic Forum, also words from Stu Alderati, Chris Larson, and more. You don't want to miss this video. If you do find it informative, please do hit the like, share, and subscribe. And remember, I'm not a financial advisor. Stay tuned. I also have some awesome XDC content on the way. Also some Hedera Hashgraph videos, Casper videos, and Flare content. So you're not going to want to miss that. If you're new to the channel, subscribe to stay up to date. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and roll it. Alright DCENT family, in this weekly announcement I'm going to show you how easy it is to add Songbird to your DCENT wallet. Now if you have your hardware wallet handy, make sure your device is connected to your mobile device through Bluetooth. If you're just using the free mobile app version, all you need is your passcode. But for people that are not familiar with DCENT, the free app version and the version you use for your hardware device is the same thing. The only thing that's different is the hardware device is storing access to your coins offline. Free mobile app version is also very safe, but all you need is your passcode. But if you're using your hardware wallet, you need to make sure it's activated, it's on, and it's also connected to your mobile device. And you're simply just going to be pressing OK and also using your thumbprint to move forward. Alright, let's go ahead and dig in. I'm going to show you how simple it is to add a Songbird account, a Songbird wallet on your DCENT wallet, and also add a trust line for Wrap Songbird so you can delegate. It's very simple. So go ahead and open up your wallet. Down at the bottom right where that plus sign is, you're going to tap on that. Alright, so once you tap on that, just go ahead and type in Songbird or SGB. And then hit enter, and you can see Songbird token right there. So tap on that top one, and you can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it Songbird, and then tap on create. So now it's actually creating the Songbird account and main wallet. Let it do its thing. And there we have it. You can see right there in the center, you can see Songbird. So now what we're going to do is add a trust line. We're going to add a Wrap Songbird wallet connected to that account. So same process, go ahead and tap on that circle with the plus sign at the bottom right. And once you tap on that, we're going to look for Wrap Songbird. WSGB, hit enter, and right there, Wrap Songbird, tap on that. And because it's going to the Songbird account, just tap on that for Songbird, and you can name it whatever you want. I'm just going to keep it WSGB for Wrap Songbird, and then tap create. And there you have it. You can see now we have the Songbird account and the Wrap Songbird trust slide connected to the main Songbird account. So we have two wallets there. Alright, now I'm going to show you how to wrap those Songbird tokens, convert them into wrapped Songbird, and also how to delegate. So what you're going to want to do at the bottom center where it says Discovery, you're going to want to tap on that. Once you tap on that, what we're looking for is the Flare portal, the FTSO portal. So right there at the center, you can see FTSO portal, tap on that, and it's already on Songbird network, so just tap go. Now once you tap go, go ahead and tap yes I want. It's connecting to the site, the FTSO portal. And as you can see, it connected to wallet, and we have over 12,000 Songbird. It's recognized it. So now what we're going to do is wrap those Songbird tokens. So you can see where it says SGB, WSGB towards the top center. In green, you're going to tap on that with those arrows. Just tap on that. Once you tap on it, it's going to bring you to this page, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap 12,400. So just tap at the top where it says SGB and type in however many you want. And then tap on that bar where it says SGB to WSGB, that green bar. Tap on that and confirm. It's asking, do you want to wrap? Yes. Waiting for approval. Go ahead and tap OK. Proceed with signing. Make sure your device is connected if you're using a hardware wallet. Check details and proceed with signing. So on your hardware device, if you're using a hardware device, go ahead and hit OK, proceed, and use your thumbprint. Now it's waiting for approval. Your transaction is confirmed. Excellent. So as you can see now, we have 12,400 wrapped Songbird. Now it's time to delegate. The delegation process is very simple. Simply tap on, towards the bottom you're going to see where it has a plus sign, add delegation. Tap on that and you can select a provider. You can select any provider you want. A lot of people use Bifrost. There's FTSO AU. So you can choose, you can shop around. I'm going to go ahead and use the Flare Oracle. So I'm going to tap on that. Once I tap on that, I can choose max. I'm going to choose max. You could delegate however many you want. I'm going to go ahead and go max and tap delegate. Do you want to delegate 100% of your vote power to Flare Oracle? Confirm. Tap yes or confirm. Proceed with signing. Tap OK. If you're on your hardware device, make sure you go ahead and tap OK and use your thumbprint to proceed. If you're on the mobile app, all you have to do is just put in your passcode. The mobile app and the hardware device app are the same. So waiting for transaction. Okay, your transaction is confirmed. So there we have it, 100% is delegated. Now somebody might be asking, how long do you have to wait to claim your Songbird rewards? You need to wait for the full reward epoch in which you have delegated your vote power to be able to claim. For Songbird, it's 7 days. So just to show you, of course I don't have any rewards yet. If we back out to the main page, the home page of your wallet, you can see your Songbird is now wrapped Songbird. Quick, let's say that you did have rewards waiting for you. Show you. So go ahead and back out completely. I'm going to show you how to go back through the FTSO portal. So go back to the discovery, tap on FTSO portal. This is if you're getting your rewards, and then tap go. And like I said, if you're on your hardware device, just use your fingerprint and continue. Say yes I want. And if you did have rewards, as I stated, they would be right there to claim. Alright, next topic. Are we going completely cashless with these new digital assets? The truth is no, not right away, not anytime soon yet. Paper fiat is still king right now. And this is posted from Executive Director of the Digital Euro Association. Now, Ripple is part of the Digital Euro Association, and we've heard from Brad Garlinghouse state that he does not see cash, meaning paper, leaving us anytime soon. That it's most likely going to be a gradual change. So anyway, a recent study by the ECB showed that cash still accounts for 59% of all point-of-sale payments and remains the preferred means of payment for 22% of those surveyed. Now, keep in mind, this is Europe, but this does give us an idea of how the world is spending. So the two main benefits of cash, according to respondents, is that it makes them more aware of their spending, and it also offers them a sense of privacy in transactions. So it is clear that the physical money will not be going away anytime soon. The ECB plans to redesign the euro banknotes by 2024, demonstrating their long-term commitment to physical money. Now, digital currency is complementary to physical money, not a replacement. citizens continue to gradually embrace digital currencies, Spain is leading the way with the first euro-denominated stablecoin. Ultimately, the freedom to choose from a range of payment and options is what makes for a healthy payment system. So once people start getting on board, especially these large institutions and banks for Ripple, they're going to love the technology. They're going to see how easy it is to send money. They're probably going to say, hey, why didn't we do this sooner? This is so much better. But the fact is that paper fiat is not going away anytime soon. Next, in case you missed it, we're going to hear Crypto in a Minute from Chris Larson. Now, if you're new to Ripple or you're new to XRP and you're just watching this, please subscribe so you can stay up to date. Now, Chris Larson is one of the pioneers. He was there from the beginning. He's a co-founder of Ripple.
People ask, how can crypto be used for good? My name is Chris Larson, and this is Crypto in a Minute. Well, there's lots of ways crypto can be used for good. One of the exciting possibilities that I'll put out there is using blockchain technology, crypto technology, to create better carbon credit markets. Now, carbon credit markets are essential for our fight on climate, but they've sort of been a mess, right? People describe them less as markets, more like flea markets. And we think by using blockchain technology, you could make carbon credit markets radically transparent. Why is that important? That means anybody that's working to sequester carbon. Think about poor farmers in Africa. Change the way they use their soils, suddenly they capture more carbon. They can sell that. And in today's world where there's no transparency, they're being taken advantage of. In a transparent market using NFTs and blockchain, they could see what those prices are and always be assured of getting a fair deal.
Next, we're going to hear from Stu Alderati, who's general counsel of Ripple. He has over 35 years of legal experience with expertise in regulatory affairs and complex litigation.
Being a lawyer to answer anything in a minute is hard. It usually takes 30 seconds just to say on the one hand and 30 seconds to say on the other hand, but let's give it a shot. Hi, this is Stu Alderati, and this is Crypto in a Minute. So crypto regulation is healthy because, well, actually, first there's a misconception that actors in the crypto space do not want regulation. And I think responsible actors in the crypto space actually do want regulation. And the reason they want regulation, it's good for their business, it's good for their customers, it's good for the markets. And the way you get there is through clear regulation. Clear regulation consistently applied leads to predictable outcomes, and predictable outcomes are good for everybody. If you don't know what the law requires, you can't comply with the law. And the law inconsistently applied leads to unpredictable outcomes, which at the end of the day is not going to be good for anybody. So I think that's the definition of healthy regulation. And I think in the crypto space, we're working our way to get there. Some markets get it right, some markets get it wrong. And I got 1 second left, so I'm going to stop.
Next, we're going to hear words from Brad Garlinghouse. It's an interview giving us insights from the 2023 World Economic Forum. I'm going to leave the video with this, so I hope you enjoy it. Go ahead and put your thoughts and comments down below, and thanks again for watching another edition of Token Topics.
We're here at the World Economic Forum at Davos, and I have the pleasure of having with me Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple. Thank you for being with us.
Absolutely. Glad to be here. Thank you for coming to the Ripple temporary office.
Brad, listen, it would be, I guess, a big mistake of me not to start with what is in the minds of everybody, is topical, everybody's talking about it, so let's address it. FTX. There's a collapse, there's crypto involved. How is Ripple different?
Well, so I view Ripple as dramatically different, and actually, maybe I'll start by describing how I think about the FTX collapse. You know, first of all, I don't even think of the FTX collapse as a crypto issue. It's a fraud. Whether you're dealing with crypto assets or, as Bernie Madoff was dealing with lots of different assets, or maybe he didn't have assets, I don't know. But, you know, fraud is fraud, and, you know, I don't know all the details of FTX, and of course the court process will play out. But Ripple is dramatically different in that at the core, we're an enterprise software company. We're selling bank infrastructure that uses blockchain technology to dramatically improve cross-border payments. So today, many of us are very familiar with what generally is called a SWIFT transfer, a wire transfer. Interestingly, by the way, the word wire transfer, the history of that refers to a telegraph wire. Click, 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 click. That's how we were transferring money, and we still hang on to that language. Why is it that it's slow and expensive to send money across borders when I can send an email anywhere in the world for free, anytime? And really, money's just ones and zeros at this point. Ripple's selling technologies allow banks, financial institutions to send cross-border payments instantly, very, very, very low cost. So as compared to FTX, it's kind of apples and oranges.
Very good and very nice to hear. You touched upon SWIFT, so let's go there. Is SWIFT a competitor? Is SWIFT something that in a future scenario you would see working with? And what about transfers that happen through platforms like a Revolut or a WeChat?
Yeah. So Ripple decided early on that we wanted to be at kind of the infrastructure layer, and there's a whole bunch of strategic issues associated with that. One of them, quite frankly, is that if you work with regulated endpoints, that's where all the regulatory frameworks apply. KYC, know your customer, AML, anti-money laundering, all the acronyms. If you work just with regulated endpoints, they're making sure that that is the case. Companies like WeChat have to do that regulatory work themselves. Now SWIFT is kind of a competitor. It's slightly more complicated than that because SWIFT is really just messaging. When you send a SWIFT transfer, it's not liquidity. You're actually sending bank messages to banks that have liquidity. So to some degree, Citibank and HSBC, really the top two, JPM, those are the top three liquidity banks. And when you're sending SWIFT messages, you're sending messages to banks to release liquidity and making sure the debits and credits match. So to some degree, really boil it down, Ripple's competing with the liquidity of Citi and the messaging of SWIFT, but in one, because we're both messaging and liquidity. And at the end of the day, again, as I described, SWIFT was developed 50 plus years ago. It architecturally hasn't really changed. It does remain slow, days. It does remain, relatively speaking, expensive. And actually, interestingly, it's quite error prone. And part of that is just, it's a one-way messaging protocol. So if I fat finger Tassos and I put one S instead of two in the middle, I guess you have three S's, but that will bounce back. They'll say, no, that account name doesn't match that person. That's an error. Now, if you use modern technology, you would get a real-time, you're typing in Tassos an account number, you get a real-time, okay, does that account match? Oh, I mistyped, I fat-fingered that name. So the efficiency, we see, instead of a 6% error rate as reported for SWIFT, you see 10 bips of error, so 99.9% effective. So we think these are better technologies that can be applied broadly to the vast majority of, frankly, all of the banking system by selling it as a wholesaler, if you will. And therefore, if we don't compete with the WeChats, WeChat could be a customer of ours.
You touched upon something that I think is very relevant and something we've heard a lot about, and that's regulation, right? You look at crypto, and if I look back, crypto started as something that was more anti-regulation, anti-system following the financial crisis of 2008, and yet you are an advocate of regulation. How do you reconcile these two?
When I first got exposed to crypto, there's no question that the perspective was anti-government. Bitcoin kind of came from that heritage, and I always thought these are amazing technologies. But if you wanted to have the broadest impact for the broadest population, you needed to work with the system and work with governments, and work with regulators. So for really since the beginning of Ripple's life, we've been engaging regulators globally. And that has, I think, been to our benefit for sure, in lots of different jurisdictions. The United States, interestingly, is really behind lots of other countries. And here in Davos, I've made the argument to the various sessions around crypto that we spend too much time talking about the U.S. regulatory framework because it's quite a bit behind countries like the UK or Japan. Well, certainly Switzerland was early and aggressive in codifying and being specific about what the regulatory framework for crypto would look like. And when you're clear about the framework, that allows entrepreneurs and investment capital to flow in because it reduces risk. When you don't know what that looks like, if you're an entrepreneur, one of the first pieces of advice I give people is don't start your company in the United States at this point. until the rules are clear. Most crypto entrepreneurs, I find, they want to follow the rules of the road, but if you don't know what the rules of the road are, that
you
makes
make
it
them
hard.
up or you don't know where to be.
Yeah, so if you operate and start, I mean, we're a very global business. If you were a Swiss company, well, you know what the Swiss regulatory frameworks look like. Even countries like the UAE and frankly even South Africa is getting ahead of the United States.
Very interesting perspective. And you touched upon something, regulation. There is an issue and an open dispute between you and the SEC on your crypto coin, the XRP, whether that is a security or not. And I know that a lot of people are really waiting, and really the outcome is very important. What is your take on it? Where do you stand? What do you see the issues being there?
Yeah. Well, so first of all, it is very important, not just for Ripple, but really for the whole crypto industry. You know, the U.S. is the largest economy in the world. Certainly, we want crypto to thrive as it is in other countries in the United States. The United States Securities and Exchange Commission has taken the position that Ripple's sales of XRP constitute an unregistered security sale. And it gets into this very nuanced legal definition of what is a security. We use XRP as a currency. We use it for cross-border settlement. It doesn't give you any rights or title or governance of Ripple. In fact, it's an open source technology that it's hard to think about. So if XRP is a security, it's a security of what company? Who should file the registration statement? If it's an open, should Ripple do that? I mean, the other frustrating part, two kind of just anecdotes on this. One, the only country on the planet, and we operate in 50 plus countries. The only country on the planet that has alleged that XRP is a security is the United States, which is odd when Ripple's been profitable. We pay taxes in the United States. I'm a U.S. taxpayer, and it's just kind of like, wow, this is frankly, it's the reason why we are doing more and more outside the United States, both from a hiring. Our second largest office is now London. Now, on the case itself, we think the law is actually clear, and we think the facts are on our side. We think the law is on our side. And so we're actually quite optimistic. The case has been going on for about 2 years. It's fully briefed in district court, federal district court in the Southern District. We expect closure within months. When the judge gets the case, you don't have a timeline. So the judge will take the amount of time the judge wants. But I'm pretty optimistic. I do think it's important for the whole industry, and I'm looking forward to closure.
Brad, if I may, and I really, for the whole industry, I hope that this comes sooner rather than later, because clarity is, as you said, very important. Let's talk a little bit about you. You are extremely driven. You are very successful. What are some of the experiences or leadership traits or anecdotes perhaps that you can share with YPOers that have influenced you or you think would be something well worth for them to consider?
Well, first of all, I'll give a plug for YPO, and I think it's part of leadership is being open to knowing what you don't know. And I think your YPO forum particularly is, for me, has been a group of people who have been mentors and advisors, and both professionally and personally. But I think that the kind of knowing what you don't know, I try to spend a lot of time listening. I think my team at Ripple would describe me as decisive, but I am very much open to, and frankly, to sometimes their frustration. I'm like, I want the input. Before I make an important decision, I'm not going to go into a dark room and just make a decision and come out and say, hey, here's what's going on. And I think that has served us well, particularly in a new industry that's formative. It's kind of the pre-Cambrian era of crypto is, the last I've been at Ripple now 8 years. And, being open to that feedback and always listening before kind of opining, I think has served me well.
And with that, let me ask you one thing, because we can share with YPOers. Blockchain and crypto is on a lot of our minds, right? And most people, unlike you, do not have the pleasure or the time or the know-how or a business immediately related with it to get into it.
Yeah.
How do you think somebody can stay on top of it, can stay ahead of the curve, or what are perhaps trends that you're seeing that YPOers should be aware of?
Well, I think if you kind of zoom out at the most macro level, the novelty of a blockchain is to allow two parties to transact without trust, but with certainty. Let me pull that apart a little bit. Today, there's a lot of examples where you're settling a transaction, but there's almost always an intermediary, a security settlement, I mean, frankly, insurance settlement. There's so many examples where, whether it's the financial system, cross-border payments, where Ripple has focused, there's an intermediary there, and it's the commute of trust. If I'm a merchant down the street and I use Visa to commute trust, the merchant trusts Visa, Visa trusts me, they're commuting trust. But Visa's taking how many, 200, 300 bips for that privilege. Anyone who sits in that central counterparty basis could be disintermediated by a blockchain settlement. Because now I can settle with certainty whether or not I trust you or not. If I go to the merchant down the street and I send a transaction with Bitcoin or something else, actually Bitcoin's not great for payments, we could get into that, but the merchant knows settlement is final. They have received the Bitcoin. And so you no longer need Visa. Now, to be clear, I'm not predicting the demise of Visa. I think that would be an aggressive statement. I'm more pointing out that if you're in YPO and you're thinking about what do these technologies mean for my business, if you're a business that's in a central counterparty business and you're taking a fee, a toll for that privilege, people will think about ways to put blockchains in that intermediary. I think it applies to government services. I met today with the Prime Minister of a country, and they're very excited about using blockchain for land registry. Think about the title insurance business.
So inefficient.
Big intermediary, and they take a lot of value. If we had blockchain-based title management of ownership of who owns which property, arguably title insurance would change dramatically. That's a big industry to think about. Again, for YPRs to think out into the horizon about what these technologies mean. And frankly, it's one of the reasons why I compare blockchain to the early days of the internet. I had the good fortune of coming out of business school in '97 as the internet was kind of, as we know it today, being birthed. Remember, 2001, 2002 was a really difficult, dark time in the internet space. I think the same thing applies in the blockchain world. You're seeing the birth of an industry that I think is going to have broad implications beyond just cross-border payments. And yes, you're going to see crypto winters as we're experiencing. But don't forget, Amazon almost went out of business in 2001.
It's true. It's true. I've taken up a lot of your time. I want to close with one question. We're here at the World Economic Forum. What is the one issue you feel you would like to see addressed here?
Moving Davos to May. Okay.
Thank you.
It's a good big question. I mean, look, I find the value of being here, it does make me think bigger. I go to sessions that have nothing to do with payments, nothing to do with blockchain. And I think, I enjoy going to some of these conferences once or twice a year to kind of just change the way you think about things as a leader, as a strategist for your business. Is there something WEF isn't attacking that I think they should? I guess the only thing I'll say is I still find WEF to be a little too US-centric. I mean, there's leaders from around the world here, at least the sessions I'm going to, maybe it's because it's crypto. I just think, the US is an important economy, but there's a lot, Ripple's business is 95% non-US. And so sometimes I find it to be a little bit too dominating.
Brad, thank you so much for being with us, and I hope to have the pleasure of continuing the dialogue in the future.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being with us.
Good to see you.